So let's see the UNRWA
وين انت؟
conversation.
وين السبايا والدنيا ودين عنا خليك
هو انت
نايم.
بالشارع نام في الدار شارع اسكت احنا عند السبايا
So we
هنا
have female captives. I caught
اسكت
one.
اسكت اسكت.
وين انت اخبارك؟
لا حبيبي.
وين انت؟
Where are
والله
you?
روحنا.
We're back home.
ايش كيف الامور؟
How are
والله
you?
كويس اسكت والله نار.
لقيت شيء؟
ايه؟
لقيت شيء؟
Did you
جبنا
find
فرس
anything?
يا
Yes,
حاج.
we brought a horse.
خيل فرس.
A horse.
جاب حصان؟
صار اصلا اصيل
A
مش
noble
حصان
horse, not
كديش.
just any horse.
بالقرعان.
انت ومين جبتهم؟
You and I was brought. Me and Abu.
ابو حساقو؟ ايه كيف الامور؟
ممزح يا راجل كيف حالك؟
والله مشتاقين لك ابو مهند. ايه ان شاء الله نخش مسجد الاقصى.
والله ربك كبير يجهز حالك والله يا حاج رحت لك المناطق الشرقية كلها الدخل في المواقع.
والله كلها غاد ما كنت غاد.
وين كنت؟
جوا شرق الدير.
لا كيف الوضع؟
والله خسينا جوا.
لا يا راجل.
والله بعد جحد والله مبلجين
Our people.
لا شفت مناظر؟
I saw the sights. Yeah, I shot them in the eyes.
كم
They
واحد؟
shot them in the eyes. How many did you see? I saw two. Me and another guy from our group.
كم سحبتهم يا حبيبي؟
You could have brought them. How did you carry them? I carried 2 kilograms. The rockets landed next to us. Pay attention. F-16.
شفت انت كنت لما
Yes, I saw that you were there when the F-16 attacked. Yes, I was next to
والله
it.
برضه بعيد 100 متر.
You were about 100 meters from the house. Listen, they ripped them. You saw they even broke the cameras on the gates. Wow, what they did. Listen, they did actions for liberations, inshallah. I mean, I don't know if this is fake or not. I don't know. Judging by the fact that like everything Israel posts, especially like this, is usually fake, I'm inclined to believe that this could be fake as well. But if the internal investigations conducted by the UN show that there were 2 UNRWA teachers, at least, that participated in October 7, then I'm more inclined to believe it. Even if this is fake in and of itself, I'm still inclined to believe that 2 people out of the 13,000 that UNRWA fucking hires participated in October 7. Fine. That doesn't mean that you can, completely defund this institution. It's ridiculous.
شغل تحية إن شاء الله.
ان شاء الله. ما جبتش معك حاجه على الفاضي ولا بارود ولا حاجه؟
لا لقينا اللي في المصير.
ايه ايش لقيته؟
Anyway, yeah, it's a bullshit justification. It never worked. It was never a real justification at all. But here, Israeli former hostage describes time in Hamas captivity. Okay? They were always watched over by at least 3 of their 6 heavily armed guards because some of them would go and fight and then come back. That's what they told us, Alma Goldstein said. The family tried to establish a relationship with their guards, engaging them in long conversations as a part of survival mechanism. 2 spoke some English, and another was learning Hebrew. They kept telling us they are not going to harm us and that we were very important to them, Alma Goldstein said. But we were always terrified they would flip on us, that they'd get an order from someone to harm us, because clearly they were low-ranking cogs in the machine. We were constantly in angst or terror. The guards also discussed politics and the roots of the Israel-Palestine conflict. Ultimately, it would always end with the guards telling us to go read history books, that we're the ones who expelled them from their lands, that we're the ones who killed them, we're the ones who kept them in a pressure cooker that kept bubbling and bubbling until it erupted, Alma Goldstein said. True. Lowest cog in the machine in the fighting mechanism in the resistance still understandably has knows more about the conditions that they were subjected to than the most well-read Israeli person who unfortunately doesn't know the truth. Some of the guards told the social worker they wanted to live side by side as neighbors, but others warned her to move away. They told me to go to Tel Aviv, but don't return to Kfar Aza. They said, we'll return. We'll be back. They asked, do you know how many we are in an organization? On October 7, we were 3,000. Next time, we'll be 20,000. Alma Goldstein says she also witnessed moments when her captors displayed sensitivity and care. One of the gunmen apologized for the killing of Nadav, whom Alma Goldstein started dating in high school. We saw them cry. We saw them miss their wives, she said. We saw them writing letters to their wives and putting them in their pockets. We were worried about this, thinking, why are you writing a letter now? Towards the end of the 5 weeks, the guards began receiving calls on a landline. Alma Goldstein says she got the impression they were losing control. There was disagreements among captors and some sort of internal divisions, she said. From there, the family were taken on a 40-minute walk to a supermarket. It was then that they saw the damage wreaked by Israeli offensive for the first time. I saw a lot of devastation and destruction, Alma Goldstein said. It made me feel terrible seeing such poverty. It was very difficult to see that. It was not a great feeling of, oh great, we Israelis showed them. The 3 guards apologized for making the family sleep in a storage room in the supermarket, but said they had some hope that the war was about to end. The next day, the supermarket was hit by a shrapnel from an Israeli aerial bombardment. It was atrocious. It was the first time we really felt like our lives were in danger, Alma Goldstein said. So the only time they felt like their lives were in danger was when they were in danger in the hands of the Israeli government. Because they felt like the way Palestinians feel every fucking day of their lives. Because they were held captive by the Palestinians. And even then, it was not the Palestinians that they were threatened by. It was the Israeli government treating them like Palestinians. We heard the constant shelling and bombing getting closer and closer and could already see all the stones flying around and rubble and shrapnel. It was closing up on us to the point where Hamas guards put mattresses over us on the floor to cover us, and then they covered us with their bodies to protect us from our own forces shooting. They did that because that is how important the Israeli lives are to them, not as a matter of genuine human interaction, but because it is their only leverage they have. So anything that comes out of the conditions of the hostages has to be seen in this framework. When hostages talk about the gruesome conditions and how they had no access to food, that is, as a matter of fact, a direct consequence of Israel starving the Palestinian population. That is not because Hamas is regularly starving their own hostages. They put their own fucking bodies in between Israeli gunfire and Israeli artilleries with the Israeli lives that are standing underneath the fucking mattresses. Okay? Why? Leverage. Because this is their only way of trying to survive. Not just themselves directly, of course, but just allowing the Palestinians to survive. She also describes her eldest daughter's last moments after being shot in the face by Hamas and how their captors smiled and took photographs. Chen Alma Goldstein refuses to forget her eldest daughter's last moments. Yam, 20, was gasping for breath, having been shot in the face by Hamas gunmen who minutes earlier had killed her father. Alma Goldstein, 49, did not see Yam or her husband Nadav again because she and her 3 surviving children were bundled into a car and abducted. During the 7-minute journey across the border into Gaza on the 7th of October, their captors smiled and took photographs of the traumatized mother and children. You have to see everything from the framework of rationality. It is, of course, rational for them to try and protect to the best of their ability the hostages. This is why I've said time and time again, if the Palestinian authorities, if the Palestinian resistance groups actually kill a hostage, you will know about it. Because there is no reason for them to abduct hostages in the way that Israel framed it, to like rape them or toy with them or torture them. You do not conduct a military operation, okay, with thousands of people that you've trained for months and months and months on end, specifically so that you can have fun with the hostages. Although acts of terror, very real, gruesome acts of terror occurred on October 7, that much is, of course, clear. We are, 5 months removed from it at this point. But remember, this is a very real thing that occurred. And I've never underplayed that, or I've never downplayed that, undermined that at all. Okay? Their goal was to capture. Their goal was to kill IDF, capture as many hostages as they possibly can, bring them back into Gaza, and immediately set terms for a hostage swap. The family was moved again the next day, but this time on a donkey cart to a half-built apartment complex. The guards did not know what to do when that building, too, was pounded. Whenever I'm talking about a shockwave from a bombing, what it actually means is that door frames get blown out, windows shatter, and the Palestinians just put some blankets up, fix it up to the best of their ability, and carry on. But the bodily toll it took on us was unimaginable, Almog Goldstein said. What is this? Sickening new developments coming? You didn't link it correctly. Okay, we'll continue. I got it. Yeah, they're it's saying breaking news from Quds saying that Al Jazeera reports Israel's military is opening fire right now on thousands of hungry civilians at Al Kuwait roundabout in Gaza City. I will look at the new development in a second and assess it, but I don't know what's going on there. Let me just finish this up. From there was another school filled with tents where Palestinian families were sheltering. Many assumed Almog Goldsteins were also displaced from the war and offered them food and water. The family became hopeful that the war, then in its 7th week, was ending because the captors seemed excited about a looming ceasefire, but their guards told them there was nowhere safe left in Gaza and that they would have to wait it out in an underground tunnel with 6 female Israeli hostages, including 2 children. Every encounter with captives in Gaza was truly exciting, said Almog Goldstein, but 3 of the women were wounded, some had complex injuries, and some spoke about sexual assaults. She said the group discussed reporting the allegations to a Hamas commander on their release. By and large, the Hamas commanders seemed to be receptive enough that we thought there might be a chance of relaying it, she said. But she doesn't know whether that happened because most of the women were left behind. She is now desperate for the remaining hostages to return home, but added, having experienced how horrendous the fighting and bombardment was, I can't really understand how you can both have that and care for the captives that are there. The hostages are excited for Israel to cease its hostilities. Think about that. Israeli hostages are excited for Israel to stop bombing the Palestinians. Is it because they have true love in their hearts for the Palestinian population? Maybe some do. Maybe some actually do. Maybe some did before this event. Maybe they changed their minds. But ultimately, one thing remains clear. The people killing the Israeli hostages are not, as it stands now, the Hamas militants. It is the Israeli government.